This is the second video on the topic quadratics or quadratic equation. So those who haven't seen the first video, the general term of a quadratic equation or a quadratics is of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So whatever the coefficient of x square be, we'll call it as a, and whatever the coefficient of x be, we'll call it as b, and the constant term we'll call it as c. So all these a, b, c all are real numbers, and this a should not be equal to 0. So if you want to know in detail about the introduction on the topic quadratics, you can go to part 1 of this video. Anything like a times b is equal to 0, where a and b are real numbers, either this a is equal to 0 or b is equal to 0, or both can be 0. So similarly, we can use the same thing here. So this is like as linear factors where x plus 2 and x minus 3 are each of the factors. So with this result, we can either take x plus 2 is equal to 0 or x minus 3 is equal to 0. If this, or both can be 0, okay. So if the x plus 2 is equal to 0, the value of x will be minus 2. And if x minus 3 is equal to 0, the value of x will be positive 3. Okay, so the value of x can be either minus 2 or 3 or can be both. So I'll solve this one, that is x minus 5 the whole square is equal to 0. So this can be written as x minus 5 times x minus 5, which is equal to 0. So either x minus 5 is equal to 0 or x minus 5 is equal to 0. Both are same. So x can take the value 5. Since x minus 5 is equal to 0 implies x is equal to 5. So any quadratic equation, it can have maximum number of solutions a quadratic equation can have is 2. So here, both the solution for the value of x, if we solve this quadratic equation x minus 5 the whole square is equal to 0, we'll get two solutions, and the two solutions are same, that is 5 itself. So the value of x should only be equal to 5. So this is finding the solution of quadratic equation x square plus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. So this is of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So to find the value of x of a quadratic function using factorization method, the thing which we can do is we need to find two numbers, two real numbers, p and q. So those p and q should be numbers such that on taking the sum, that is p plus q, it should give the coefficient of x, that is 5. So here we can write it generally, that is b. So here b is equal to 5. And the next thing is that the product of these two numbers, that is p times q, that should give a times c, that is the product of coefficient of x square times the constant number. So that is here, since the coefficient of x square is 1, we can go with 1 times c is 6. So that is 6. So the easiest method to do this is when this a is equal to 1. So if this a is equal to 1, if you find two numbers p and q such that p plus q is equal to 5 and pq will be again c only. Anyway, a will be 1. So we have to find two numbers so that the sum should give us 5 and the product should give us 6. So the two numbers can be 5 and 1. The sum should give us 6 and the product will give us 5 times 1, that is 5 itself. So p can be 5 and q can be 1. Or you can take p is equal to 1, q is equal to 5. It doesn't matter. Okay. So to factorize it, if a is equal to 1, what we can do is that the factorization will be, the linear factors will be x plus p times x plus q. that is equal to 0. So here p is equal to 5, like we have taken p is equal to 5 or p is equal to 1, you can take anything. So it is x plus 5 times x plus 1 that is equal to 0. So the value of x will be, it can either be minus 5 or it can be minus 1. So I think this is okay. The value of x can be either minus 5 or minus 1, or it can be both. No issues. So this is a method of finding the value of x when it is a quadratic equation by factorization method. So we need to find two numbers p and q, since the product should give you the constant term, that is 6, since the coefficient of x squared is 1, and the sum of this p and q should give you the coefficient of x, that is 5 here. So these two numbers are the base of forming the linear factors. So that is x plus p times x plus q is equal to 0. So p and q are 1 and 5. So it will give the value of x as minus 5 and minus 1. So I'll solve the next one. So this is again of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So here this is like, so there is two numbers p and q, where p plus q should give us minus 7, that is b here, and p times q should give us 6. So we should find two numbers p and q. Those are real numbers, such that the product should be 6 and the sum should be minus 7. So what will be the numbers? So the numbers can be, how come it is 6 and 1? So if it is 6 and 1, the product will of course give you 6. But the sum won't give you minus 7. So if the sum should give you minus 7, we can change the sign. That is minus 6 and minus 1. So the sum will give you minus 6 plus minus 1, that is minus 7. And the products will give you minus 6 times minus 1, that is 6. That is positive 6. So it can be given as x plus p times x plus q, that is equal to 0. And here it can be anything like x minus 6 times x minus 1 is equal to 0. So the value of x can be either 6 or positive 1. So this will be the value of x. So this is another question. It is not in general form. So this is x square minus 5x is equal to 6. So we need to make it the general form, such as ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So we can make the 6 to left hand side. So it will become general form, that is x square minus 5x minus x is equal to 0. So now this is in general form. We need to find the value of x by factorization method. So for going with factorization method, we should get two numbers p and q. Those are real numbers, and the product, that is p times q, should give us negative 6. And the sum, that is p plus q, it should give negative 5. So the possibility of two numbers we can think, and it will be 5 and 1. And what about the signs? If it is 5 and 1 and the product should give negative 6. So if the product of two numbers should be negative, any one number among the two should be negative. If both the numbers are like a negative, the product will be positive. If both the numbers are positive, the product will again be, of course, positive. So one should be positive and one should be negative. So which one should be positive and which one should be negative? That's the answer. So if it is 5 and 6, we won't get the value. If it is 6 and 1, what will be the value? The product is 6. We should make it minus 6. And the sum should be minus 5. So if we give the minus to the highest number, that is 6, it will give the sum is minus 5. That is minus 6 plus 1 will give you minus 5. And minus 6 times 1 will give you again minus 6. So our p and q will be minus 6 and 1. So the factorization, the linear factors will be x minus 6 times x plus 1, that is equal to 0. So the value of x will be either x minus 6 is equal to 0 or x plus 1 is equal to 0. So it will give x is equal to 6 or x is equal to minus 1. So the next question is, solve x square minus 12x is equal to 0. So the general form is ax square, second. So general term is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a is not equal to 0. Okay, so here the value of c is equal to 0. So that how it is like x square minus 12x is equal to 0. So if it is like that, the constant term is 0, the usual method won't work, because if we find two numbers p, q, the product will be 0. So p times q will be 0 since c is equal to 0. Okay, so we can't go with that method. So the easiest thing which we can do is taking x common from both the terms. So if we take x common from both the terms, it will be x minus 12 is equal to 0. So this says that, this is like linear factors. This says that either x is equal to 0 or x minus 12 is equal to 0. So this will give x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 12. Okay, so there is another method usually students follow, and this is like x square is equal to 12x, and then we will cancel out this x, so this gives x is equal to 12. So this method is not like promoted, because here we are considering that the value of x is not equal to 0, but it can be 0. Okay, so while solving equation like this, we should not consider that x is equal to 0. It's not equal to 0. It can be 0. Like if x is equal to 0, that is 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. That is valid. Okay. So this possibility we are omitting when we are doing like this. Okay. So this is totally fine when you're doing like a real life application where x is the length of the rectangle or x is the area. So for those cases, x cannot be 0. Like if x is 0, that polygon won't exist. So those cases you can follow the second method, but it's usually recommended to do it like this. So since we are not emitting any cases, like x can be 0, that is a solution for the equation. Okay. So the values either x can be 0 or x can be 12. Next question is x square minus 9 is equal to 0. So here the problem is that we are not having the x term. So the coefficient of x here is 0. So here we can easily do it like x square is equal to 9. Okay, so it's not an issue to take it to 9 to right hand side here, because we are not taking x square or x as 0 here. So no issues. So if x square is equal to 9, what will be the value of x? So x can be plus or minus 3. So if x is equal to 3, x square is equal to 9. If x is equal to minus 3 also, x square is equal to 9. So the value of x will be, x can be 3 and minus 3. So those are the values. So these are two cases where the coefficient of x is 0 for the second one, and coefficient of like the constant term is 0 for the first one. So we are sure that the coefficient of x square can't be equal to 0. If coefficient of x square is equal to 0, we have discussed in part 1 of the video that it will turn into a linear equation. Okay. So the other two conditions where b is equal to 0 and c is equal to 0, we have discussed in these two questions. Okay. I hope this is clear. This is one of the application of quadratic equation. So the product of two consecutive even numbers is given as 120. We need to find the numbers. So that's a question. So how do you take like even numbers? The numbers are unknown and we can take it as variables. So you can take it okay, either a, b, x, y, or you can connect the two as like even numbers, and you can do it like any way you want. You'll get the same answer. So if I'm taking one number as x, what will be the next number? The consecutive means the one number will come right after the other number. Okay. So one is first, the second will be 2. If 2 is there, the second will be 3, like that. But here it is not consecutive numbers, it is consecutive even numbers. So if I'm taking like 2 first, the next number won't be 3, it will be 4. So the difference will be 2. So if I'm taking x, the next number will be x plus 2. If I'm taking x minus 1 as first number, then x will be the next number, that is odd. The next number will be x plus 2. Since it is like if I'm taking 6, I can't take 7, I'll take 8. And if I'm taking 6 here, I can't take 5 here, I can take 4. So those are consecutive numbers. So if this is my x minus 1, this will be my x plus 1, since my x will be 5. Okay, so similarly you can take like anything. You can take x minus 1 and x plus 1. So it is not x plus 2, this is x plus 1. Okay, so you can take any numbers, like the difference should be 2. That's the only thing. The difference should be 2 since it is like consecutive even numbers. Okay, so let the consecutive even numbers be x and x plus 2. Okay, so if this is x and x plus 2, it's already given that the product is 120. So that says that x times x plus 2 is 120. So you can expand it. It is x square plus 2x is equal to 120. This is a quadratic equation since the degree of x is 2. And this is not in general term. We can make it general. That is x square plus 2x minus 120 is equal to 0, and this forms the general form of a quadratic equation. Now if we want to do by factorization method, how do you do it? So if you want to do by factorization method, we have to find two numbers p and q such that the product pq should be negative 120 and the sum p plus q should be 2. So we need to get two numbers p and q such that the product should be negative 120 and the sum should be 2. Since the product is negative, the two numbers, one should be positive and one should be negative. Okay, so what numbers can I take? So if it is like 120, it should be like factors of 120 we are looking for, since the product is 120. Okay, so what if I take 12 and 10? So if it is 12 and 10, the difference is 2, right? Okay, so one number should be positive and one number should be negative. So what will be the positive and what will be the negative? So since the sum is positive, the highest number should be positive and the lower number should be negative. So that if you're taking the sum, you'll get 2 and the product is minus 120. So we can factorize it like x plus 12 times x minus 10 is equal to 0. So this gives either x can be 10 or x can be negative 12. Okay, so first we'll take when x is equal to 10. So when x is equal to 10, x plus 2 will be 12. So the numbers are, the consecutive even numbers are 10 and 12. The product is 120, right? The next case is when x is equal to negative 12. Then x plus 2 will be negative 12 plus 2, that is negative 10. So the numbers are minus 12 and minus 10. Okay, so the numbers can be either positive 10 and positive 2, that should give the product 120. Or the second case is the numbers can be negatives, that is minus 10 and minus 12. So that is again giving the product of 120. So those are the numbers. It can either be 10, 12 as a pair, or it can be minus 10, minus 12 as another pair. So that's it. The next question is, this is also an application level question of quadratics. The length of the rectangular terrace is 3 more than the width. Okay. So if you're taking length and breadth of a rectangle, so this is a rectangle. So the length is, we can take anything. The length is unknown, right? And the width is also unknown. But we have a relationship. The length of the rectangular terrace is 3 more than width. So if I'm taking the width as x, the length will be x plus 3. It is 3 more than width. Okay, and it is in meters. Okay, and we need to find the length and width of the terrace if the area is given as 28 meters square. Okay, so let the length and width be, what is the length? That is x plus 3 meters and x meters. Now the area is it is given as a length times width, right? So length is x plus 3 and width is x. So this is given as 28. So if we expand it, it is 28 is equal to x square plus 3x. So a general form of a quadratic equation will be x square plus 3x minus 28 is equal to 0. So to solve this, we need to get two numbers p and q, so that the product will be minus 28 and the sum, that is p plus q, should give us 3. So what are the numbers? So what if it is 7 and 4? 7 4 times is 28 and the difference is 3. So should we give positive to highest number or lower number? So since the sum is positive, the higher number should have positive sign and the lower number should have negative sign. So the factorization will be x plus 7 times x minus 4, that should give you 0. So the value will be either x can be negative 7 or x can be 4. Since it is a real life situation and it is the length and width of a rectangular terrace, it can't be a negative value. So therefore, we can take the length as 4 plus 3, that is 7 meters, and that is width, not breadth. So the width will be 4 meters. Since we are only taking x is equal to 4 meters as our value. So if x is equal to 4, the length will be x plus 3, that is 4 plus 3, that is 7 meters, and the width will be 4 meters. So this is the answer.